So welcome everyone, my name's David Bauders and I'm the CEO of Hounds, and I'm here today with Jennifer LeFevre. Jennifer is the Executive Director of ESFI, Electrical Safety Foundation International. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about ESFI, what you guys do, and what your mission is.
Great. Well, the Electrical Safety Foundation International is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are dedicated to reducing electrically related fires, injuries, and deaths through public education and outreach, and also being the trusted voice on electrical safety. There's so much people didn't know that they didn't know, and so we're trying to help educate them on various things around the house and on the workforce, and helping to provide them with the resources they need to make safer choices.
It's really interesting because right now is a period of unprecedented change in the industry. We have so much innovation on the product side. Obviously, there's a whole workforce turnover. We have about half of electricians retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. Whole new generation of onboarding talent. How do we make sure that they're able to do their job safely and securely?
Well, of course, training and qualified workers are key. And so we're trying to make sure people understand, oh, you can join the electrical industry as an electrician. There are a lot of other opportunities that are out there these days, and making sure that they're trained well. We don't actually have training ourselves, but a lot of the materials that we produce are used by others as part of their training programs. We have infographics, we have video shorts, those kind of help break things up in some training formats, but it's something that we're just trying to help make sure people understand how important training is.
So let's talk a little bit about the content that you guys have around safety. Can you just describe the formats, how broad or narrow specific it is, so we can understand how you help our tradespeople?
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of times it's very, very broad-based to wet somebody's whistle. So for example, with video shorts, those are very, very popular. We're in the midst of National Electrical Safety Month now, but last year we had 1 million views of the 15 videos that we produced last year. And then we also put together infographics, and infographics are really easy to understand because they're very graphic heavy. There's text on it as well, but it's information that they can use and then look for more information if they need more detail, or they're like, oh, you know what, somebody else might be interested in this, or I didn't know this, or it's a lot of opportunities for them to share with their families, friends, communities.
So how do you principally get this content out to the right people to make sure it connects at the street level?
So social media is huge, obviously, and how people share, and then we're continuously trying to reach additional audiences. So a lot of times, with social media, that helps. But then, this is my first time at the National Electrical Distributor Association, and so it's a brand new pool of people to realize that we have these resources available that they can share for free. Everything on our website is available to use in the interest of safety.
Are you able to integrate manufacturer content, or is it mostly produced by your actual association?
So we produce it with using a variety of other groups, but we do get information about what are some of the areas that may need a little bit more information, that may need some training. So we're certainly open to talking with partners who see things in the field that we might not see.
Do you work with any of the contractor associations to help understand from their perspective?
No, absolutely. The National Electrical Contractors Association is represented on our board, and we have a very strong relationship with them. And obviously safety is of utmost importance to them, so it's something that we work very closely with them on.
And can you talk a little bit about some of the most important challenges that you've solved in the last 12 months, for example?
Well, one of the challenges is, a lot of people don't think something's ever going to happen to them. So with something like lithium-ion batteries, they're all over everybody's homes, but they might not even realize that, they know their tablets and their laptops and their phones, but the electric vacuum or their earbuds, vapes. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand that these things have to be recycled very responsibly. They can't just be put in the regular trash or recycling, and then getting those resources to them. Or some communities are better at having those kinds of resources than others, but they might just not realize that people think of a vape, for example, as disposable, and disposable means trash or recycling, and those can start fires in whether it's in the truck on the way to a plant or at a recycling plant, and it's removed from them. But it's a really important issue.
How much of your work is focused on, let's say, field electricians or workers versus consumers?
So we have a variety of both, and it's not just electrical workers. The workplace in general has all sorts of different electrical challenges and products, and understanding that know when to say when. For example, if you don't feel like you have the right training, you don't have the right tools, that you're just not comfortable doing something you've been asked to do, that you have the power to say, I'm not qualified to do this. So it's a variety of different things, both on the workplace and in the consumer front. We also put together a variety of statistics every single year that really help us understand who's getting hurt in the workplace, whether it's in electrical field specifically or in the workplace in general.
Basically trying to scope out what are the root causes of injury and beyond, and then understanding which content is needed to prevent that. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of getting the content into the right people's hands at the right time?
So it's making sure that with the spring here, now for example, tree trimmers and roofers, they have a lot of contact with overhead power lines. And people get so busy that they might not necessarily focus on training or training resources that might be available to them. And it's just because it's busy, it's spring, everybody wants their trees trimmed, and making sure that people take the time to consider safety and trying to work with them to do that. Not that they're unsafe, but putting more of an emphasis on safety, I think, is something that we could all do.
This is really interesting. So you have a really tough challenge, right? Because not only do you have a broad suite of products and applications, you also have like a who's who of all the different trades that you need to connect with.
Exactly, and one of the things that we want to do is broaden our partnerships. And if there's something else that needs to be done to help with roofers, to help with tree trimmers or landscapers, we're very interested in expanding those partnerships and working together to get this information out to those who will use it.
I'm so glad we talked, because the Trade Hounds platform has all of these trades already on it. We have about 500,000 tradespeople, and obviously we're very strong in mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all of those trades, but we also have an amazing, almost cornucopia of other trades, whether it's arborists or tree trimmers, roofers, construction, even industrial is really a big presence.
Heavy truck drivers, they have a lot of opportunity to interact with overhead power lines. And complacency is another challenge. You drive down the same road every day for years, and after a storm, all of a sudden, some of these lines are hanging down a little lower than you might have expected. But you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to take a moment and always look up in all ways. And that's one of the main things that we talk about, particularly with heavy truck drivers and those exposed to power lines.
So in terms of helping people to be safer, how much of the content today is focused on what I would call curricular learning versus just-in-time learning or micro-learning?
Well, it's really, it depends on what people's needs are, because they can apply a number of our resources to whatever it is that their needs are, in terms of, incorporating some of our videos into their training, or distributing some of our infographics in their communities, or as part of, a team meeting, that type of thing. So we like to be nimble in terms of how we make our materials available to people and let them use it however they see would be best for them.
Interesting. So we have some new agentic tools within our Trade Hounds platform where you can ask questions and get tips. Maybe that would be a good application for us to be able to ingest all of the content, the safety content that you have, and make sure it's available in a more, let's say, question and answer type of format.
That could be interesting, absolutely, depending on what people want, and then providing some of the additional resources that can supplement some of those answers.
I think one of the big pain points that we hear from our users is that a lot of whether it's code or other safety content, it's almost like librarian level of encyclopedia resources.
Right.
What they really want is to be able to have more of a question and answer approach to the content, instead of having to figure out where in this big Bible of information things sit.
And that's the thing, making resources as easily accessible as possible. Just like, when we're talking about how to recycle batteries, the easier it is, the more people will absorb it. So having those opportunities to create an ease of access to the answers that they want is absolutely something that we're all working toward.
So I know May is National Safety Month. Can you talk a little bit about how you're engaging with the market this month, and what some of your major objectives are?
So National Electrical Safety Month, we have a variety of resources available. We talk about, again, lithium-ion batteries, Something else that a lot of people don't understand is with electronics, looking for electronics that are certified by nationally recognized testing lab, or when you're looking to resource new areas of like a new battery for a scooter or an e-bike, how important it is that you get something that's manufactured, approved. There are a number of things that people don't realize, they don't necessarily fill out their warranty card, but that's really important to understand if there's a recall. The Consumer Product Safety Commission has a lot of information on their site. So there are easy steps that you can take. A lot of people don't always do it because they're like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. But if they take some steps now, they can reduce possible headaches later.
So what are some things about safety that most people wouldn't know?
So it's being interested in wanting to know is really important too. So, not thinking about, like everything that lithium-ion batteries are in, even kids' toys, pets' toys. There are a lot of things that people don't realize, like when they're decorating for the holidays, they just get all their equipment out and all their lights and everything. They don't necessarily check for frayed wires, or, they leave tons of different things in one outlet. Stressing that outlet, or they use outdoor equipment with an indoor extension cord. Using extension cords continuously. They're only supposed to be, there are a lot of things that, if nobody told them that it's unsafe to do, how would they know?
It's so interesting because, all of us take for granted that the things we use will be used safely. Mm-hmm. I guess that's not really the case, is it?
So buying things from trusted retailers, companies that are going to stand by their products, doing a little research ahead of time, depending on what it is that you're purchasing. A lot of these things, it's so easy. Also looking at marks and understanding what those marks mean. I always saw, some of these marks growing up, but I never really understood what they meant until I got into this role.
So does this drive your family crazy?
So there's a lot of things that I've had to change. My 16-year-old stepson, leaves his items charging all the time, and I try to remind him, you have to unplug it when it's done charging, and some of those things, and even still like using electric blankets and allowing your dog to lay on your bed with an electric blanket on is really, really dangerous too. But they love the heat, yeah, so do we. But there are certain things that you shouldn't do, and it's just not something that, again, unless somebody had mentioned it to them or they read the instructions, that's really important too. Read the instruction manual; it's helpful. There's very good tips in there as well.
Well, Jennifer, it's been a true pleasure to spend time with you and congratulate you and your organization for all the great work you're doing.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.